All right, here we go. Still live from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Hope everybody's feeling right and living well this Friday morning. Welcome into the show. Robert Walsh back there making it happen. We got Coach Dave McGinnis coming up in just about 18 minutes from now. Talk some ball with Titans Radio's head coach. Your phone call is always welcome. 615-737-1045 is the number. Titans over the Packers, 27-17. Last night here in Titletown, Lambeau Field, snowy, an interesting scene. But, you know, for all of the great things to talk about today, as far as what it was that the Titans did, and all of the things that made that win feel as gratifying for you, for them, and for everybody associated with that organization, all those things should be the talking point today. And yet it's not. Because news as of this morning of offensive coordinator Todd Downing arrested for driving under the influence after the team plane landed, I assume on his way home. And what was his best performance and a situation where in the last 2 weeks they have legitimately started to build something as far as the ability, the capability, and the efficiency of this offense are concerned, and whatever that means for him moving forward. It all just got nuked. All of it. Charged with driving under the influence and speeding early this morning. I talked to Tennessee Highway Patrol, Terry McCormick first on the report. An app that I had never heard of until this morning, Mobile Patrol, which is the watermark that many of you have seen on the mugshot for the Titans offensive coordinator. If you have not seen it already, you can find it quite easily on the internet. But it came from an app called Mugshot that I guess connects people with. I haven't yet come up with an account. I just discovered the functionality of the app because the app had it before it was officially listed in the Tennessee Highway Patrol or Williamson County Sheriff's Department's records. And so the plane landed for them a little after 3 a.m. Todd Downing gets picked up at about 4:30 in the morning and is released at 6, a little after. And so for the Titans, Mike Vrabel's going to speak to the media in an hour and a half. It's a Zoom call. I can't think of a worse setting for Mike for a situation like this, for a franchise that has already dealt with a little bit of this here recently in Isaiah Wilson going back to 2020, September of 2020. I remember reporting out that story about his circumstances and recklessness. And for all the different things that we're going to talk about today, and we will talk about the game at some point. But there's two things that I want to focus on with this Downing thing. One, first and foremost, inexcusable. Like by any stretch of the imagination, inexcusable. The organization, as many NFL teams do, I would imagine all of them at this point in time, though I don't know that for a fact. The Titans have a deal with Lyft, the rideshare app. The organization gets free ride shares. Like they get free rides, free lifts, wherever they want to go. Now I'm certain, within reason, but still, if you do the thing that so many players, coaches, staffers, whatever do, if you drink on the plane ride home after a win, totally fine with that. Zero problem. There are more problematic drinking on airplane situations all over the world every day. But the irresponsibility after the fact, no matter how little or how much he had to drink, we don't know. I haven't seen a blood alcohol level anywhere. All I've seen is that he was booked and released, bonded out as of this morning. The irresponsibility of that to put yourself and more importantly to put others in that situation, because speeding and driving while intoxicated was what he was booked under. It's such a bad judgment decision. He will suffer the consequences. whatever those consequences might look like. The NFL has a policy where in a situation like this, it's typically associated with 3-game suspension. A lot of times these things get turned over to the club, and the club has punishments at its own discretion. I assume a suspension of some form or fashion is coming. I don't think that it's a fireable offense. I'm not alleviating the seriousness of that at all. So he'll suffer the consequences, Todd Downing will, in any way, shape, or form that they come. Secondly, on this, to have his religion brought into the discussion, as I have seen several reporters do today, I am very respectful of all faiths. I appreciate anybody who has the ability to find faith in anything, in what we know our society to be. It's an admirable trait. I envy it many, many times. But to have that brought about as a defense of Todd Downing, like not sure, not sure about what this means. He's a man of God, all these different things, all well and good. Respectfully, that doesn't matter to me today. The mistake, I don't care how religious, how devout, how faith-filled an individual is, do not bring the religion into this as a part of the analysis. It's irrelevant to the conversation. There are so many people who are well-intentioned and make mistakes. That's all well and good. Hopefully, if this is indeed the case for Todd Downing, he can lean on his faith for whatever lies ahead of him. But I do not like the amount of discussion around that I've seen today as I don't want to call it a couching of the criticism and the scrutiny that he'll now be under, but I think most of you understand my larger meaning. And then thirdly, on the other side of this thing, how quickly it devolved into a joke for people on the internet. Twitter is a horrendous place to begin with, even though I spend entirely too much of my life there. How quickly it devolved into the kind of jokes that in a person's arguably one of their worst moments of their life, right? Because instead of talking about what a success the Titans offense was, and we will do that, or focusing in on Treylon Burks' coming out party, or how well Ryan Tannehill played and how well the Titans performed on offense in a big spot, effectively ending the Green Bay Packers season. No easy task on the road. Instead, the conversation is around Todd Downing and his poor decision-making, but the amount of jokes that I have seen at this man's expense, almost taking a victory lap around a person's one of his worst. I don't know Todd Downing's life story to know whether it's his worst moment of his life or up there. I am going to assume it's up there. But that bothered me in the same way that I saw the religious component brought in as a factor of the analysis. I'm not interested in doing any of that stuff today. I am always happy to take your comments, your questions, your concerns, whatever the case may be. But don't think that this forum that we have together for the next 3 hours, maybe you can do it, in the morning, maybe you can do it after I'm done today, Blaine and Mickey, 3HL, whatever. I'm not interested in your, things that I saw this morning like, oh, yet another drive that Todd Downing couldn't finish. That's so bleeped up to me. And I just have such a lack of respect for that kind of dialogue today. I am very aware of how badly this dude just screwed up. Nobody's more aware than he is today. That much I promise you. But to see it turn into an immediate sideshow for all this stuff, I just, at some point I'm going to cease to be disappointed by people's behavior anonymously on the internet. But damn, if it doesn't just kind of make you think less of humanity from time to time. So we're going to talk football with Coach Mack here in just a second. We'll squeeze some of your phone calls in on this because I know you guys want to talk about it. And that's fine. But just I wanted to say that on the front end. I wanted to get that out there because I want everybody within the sound of my voice to be aware of what kind of dialogue this is going to be today. We can talk about the punishment. We can talk about the NFL precedent. I've got precedent. Both Isaiah Wilson, Britt Reed from the Kansas City Chiefs a couple of years ago with his DUI situation after drinking in the facility. I can answer questions about drinking on the plane, all these other things. But, like, understand what the nature of the dialogue is going to be today. And, I just felt like we had to get out there first with it. 615-737-1045. This sucks, Robert. I did not want to do this show like this today.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. We have a responsibility to talk about the facts, but we got out in front of it, and now I think we can wipe it away and talk about the positives from last night. Because there were a lot of them. There were a lot of Titans positives from that game.
Well, it's not even that for me. I think people know me well enough. It's not that I'm looking to do happy sports talk radio today, even though they deserve to be celebrated for their performance on the field. Absolutely. Make no mistake.
I think you loathe happy sports radio, though.
Well, I'm just not very good at it.
But we can be happy, right? There were things to be happy about in that game.
Does that mean we're going to have to do a moment of positivity later in the show?
Don't you tease me. You don't mean that. You don't mean that. It's Friday, Buck. Titans won. And they didn't just win. They won. Let's get hype, son. All energy today.
Brian in Franklin is up first this morning. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well.
Just a, question and comment. I mean, I've never obviously been on one of these chartered flights. Do they serve alcohol on the plane on the ride home to and from, or would he have had it in his carry-on? Do we know?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has, their own stash. Well, not everybody. Not everybody on the plane drinks. Like, I'm sure there are certain circumstances. But, yeah, okay, so for reference, how many of us saw the Taylor Heineke video go viral after the Washington Commanders knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles this past Monday? Everybody saw the cooler of Busch Light that Taylor Heineke, no free ads, but the cooler of Busch Light that Taylor Heineke is chugging on a 30-minute flight from Washington to Philadelphia. It's literally made out of a trash can, a plastic bag, and some ice that they dumped into it with whatever Busch Light, maybe an equipment. I don't want to speculate, but maybe they had an equipment guy pick up a case of beer on the way to the team plane, whatever. Like, it's not like it's served like a conventional, flight attendant type situation. But, yeah, people have booze on the plane.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting what Vrabel says. I mean, obviously someone saw him drinking, fellow staffers, players. So, I mean, who else drank and drove home? They should, that's the kind of the, Monday morning quarterbacking of it all. They shouldn't, to me, why would you put yourself in that situation? I mean, I'm 43. Lightning would strike me right now if I say I've never drank and drove. But
sure.
But yeah, just the public figures they are. I mean, it's just crazy to me that, someone saw him drinking probably, and then let him drive. So, I mean, he's a grown man. He made his decision. Now he's going to have to stand by it. He made his bed. He's going to have to sleep in it. But I just obviously never been on one of those chartered flights. So I didn't know if they were serving it, if they brought it, it's just, but I thought it was cool too. How about J-Rob having Ben Jones on FaceTime when they come up the tunnel? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we can. Thank you for the call, Brian. 615-737-1045. We're going to talk about a lot of different things today, including the Titans win over the Packers. Coach Mack going to be here in about 5 minutes. So we'll talk ball. We'll pivot back to this as new information becomes available. Again, Mike Vrabel will speak to the media at 11:30. We will carry that press conference live to you, and I'm sure there will be questions asked about this particular situation with the offensive coordinator. Live from Green Bay, I'm Buck Reising. This 104.5 The Zone. Did you know that the cost to rebuild a home has increased by almost 50% in the last 3 years? Most home insurance does not account for inflation, but with Country Financial, it can. That's why you can call Buddy Johnson with Country Financial today. His number, 931-528-4600. You can get a quote and ask about their additional replacement cost coverage. As a homeowner myself, I want my insurance company to have my back, especially when it comes to my property. This is something that is a critical part of the process for your peace of mind. Country Financial provides insurance and financial services to help you prepare for the most important moments in life. Now's the time to make sure that you are protected if something were to happen to your home. So call Buddy Johnson with Country Financial today, 931-528-4600.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to springhillac.com.
Okay. Good vibes on a Friday. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio here with us, as is always the case. A little early in the afternoon. We are earlier in the morning than we're used to. Mac, I appreciate you making some accommodations to hop on a bit earlier this morning. How are we?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Buck. Just trying to get. I'm flying to Boston tomorrow. I'm going to do the New England Jet game, and so I'm getting ready for another game.
No days off, no mini bye for Coach Mack. The man is always out here grinding. I'd like to get your thoughts on that game here in a little bit. But Mac, obviously the story this morning, and I'm not interested in any commentary on the person or the situation specifically with what is being reported about Todd Downing. But I do want to ask you, as a head coach who has been in these circumstances on team planes after victories, how much do you try to protect your staff, your people, and everybody involved from situations like this? And I know the landscape has changed with the advent of ride shares and things like this, but I mean, this is something that people, I think, are looking at as they're just not used to seeing something like this, or not necessarily familiar with what the environment looks like on a team plane after a win.
Well, I mean, that was a late ball game, so most everybody's asleep. I mean, I was asleep, trying to get back. Look, you're dealing with grown men and individual choices. I mean, it's still everything comes down to, Buck, at the end of the day in a professional setting as to individual responsibilities. I know that. I've just been in it too long.
And that's really all that needs to be said on the matter. Coach Dave McGinnis here with us on 104.5 The Zone. So this is a massive win for Tennessee last night, to go on the road to play the way that they did, particularly offensively. Mac, the defense again spectacular. They've held their opponents under or at 17 points, no more than 17 points, basically in every game. No, not basically, in every game since week 3, and we'll talk about them shortly. But what you saw from the offense as far as complementary football is concerned, is it a fair assessment to say that was the most well-rounded performance we've seen from them to date?
I think decidedly so, Buck. I mean, you were in the broadcast booth before the game, doing your bit with Jimmy White, and you guys were talking about, what had to happen, just like all of us did, previewing that game, and especially, the impact of that game on a short week. Everybody was going to have to step up. And I think everybody talked about the prowess of both teams offensively, being able to control the narrative by running the football. Well, both defenses took it upon their shoulders. I'm talking about the Packers as well as the Titans to shut the run game out. And so then, what you're saying is your vertical passing game is going to have to be the mitigating factor to step up. And I think everybody was probably leaning towards, Aaron Rodgers and what he's done in the past, when the passing game had to be the crux of what you did on offense. Well, it completely flipped the script. Ryan Tannehill completely outplayed Aaron Rodgers. And then, I mean, to me, Buck, I mean, there's a lot of storylines in this game, but Ryan Tannehill outplaying Aaron Rodgers is a huge one, but also this defense with a lot of different people playing. I mean, that has just become a tagline for this team this year, is finding a way with other guys. All of the sudden change situations, pulling down the stretch in the fourth quarter that this defense was put in, and they turned back Aaron Rodgers in that offense every time. Every time they were in the sudden change, where the game still could have flipped even there in the fourth quarter, they continued to turn it back. And so I think overall, you talk about complementary football. Look, both kicking units were having trouble kicking the football for this reason. I mean, and this, you're around it enough, but, for our listeners, the K-balls are different footballs. In other words, and you don't get to have those around your facility for a week to massage those K-balls to get them ready to be able to be optimum to kick. Well, in weather like that, those things are like bricks. And you could see it, with both kickers. We mentioned that on the pregame show going out. But that last punt, that Stonehouse hit, that was a huge field flip at that time. So your point about complementary football, during the whole course of the game is right on the mark.
Stonehouse, I mean, just continues to impress on a regular basis. And I'm glad that you made that point, Mac, because that's not something that a lot of people may consider in real time, how much more impressive it made a kick like that, given that thing, basically dies in the air as soon as you hit it with your foot, with the weather being what it was. Traylon Burks, a breakout performance for him. Statistics, whatever the case may be, not necessarily as important as being able to show defenses that they can test them deep. I thought, whatever people want to make of the 51-yard completion at the end of the game to take a knee and end the game. Obviously, they needed to get a first down to be able to kneel out the game. But I also thought it's so important to have a play like that just to put it on film so teams have to prepare for it.
Well, and to me, Buck, I mean, the whole Traylon Burks thing, look, this guy's a talented young player, very talented. And it was just starting. I mean, you're up there at practice all the time. He was just starting to come into his own this season, before the toe happened up there at Indy. And so, that being a little bit of a physical setback, but from all indications I don't go in the building and watch him rehab and do any of that stuff. That's not what I'm there for. But clearly he approached that, with the same way he approached coming back after his first, foray into the facility there when he was drafted and wasn't quite in the condition that he wanted to be in. I mean, this guy came back ready to go, and to me, he needs to continue to build on this. But there is no doubt. And you know what I really liked about it, and he showed me something other than just getting open and catching the ball. I mean, you got to be able to have, some of that in you that you want to excel, especially in those types of situations. That was a big step up moment, on a national stage. Now he needs to continue to step up week after week after week. That's what development of your game is about in the National Football League.
Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio here with us on 104.5 The Zone. If you didn't get enough Mac last night, and how could you? He's on the call for Jets and Patriots in New England this coming Sunday. Mac, where can people listen to that? Because I do want to get your thoughts on that game quickly before we. I know you got a heart out today.
Yeah, it's nice. It's on Sports USA Network, and of course, it's on Sirius. I mean, I don't know, Buck. I just do the games. People.
Fair enough. I will make sure that people have the information to be able to find Coach Mack.
I appreciate. Hey, no, I know there's no free shout-outs, Buck, so I know I'll be paying for this somehow with you.
What? That's because you're a smarter man than I, Mac. I'm sorry if I put you in a spot. All right, so Jets.
No, you did.
At Patriots, this division in the AFC East is crazy this year. The Bills kind of falling back to the pack here in the last couple of weeks, and the Dolphins presiding over things at this point. What are you looking forward to seeing these two teams square off again?
I want to see, how real the Jets are. I mean, clearly they've been doing, a lot of good things, especially defensively. I want to see how real the Jets are, and this is a big game. I mean, New England, of course, as they, whether they are on top or they're in the middle or they're somewhere around, the bottom of what's going on, very rarely for them, they always find a way. So this, to me, I mean, you've been up there to New England before. That's a tough place to play, and especially with quite a bit on the line at this point of the season. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting ball game, but I really want to see what the Jets are about and be able to see it with my own eyes. And I'm looking forward to calling the game with Larry Kahn and dissecting it a little bit.
Every team in the AFC East over 500 right now. Jets at the Patriots this Sunday. Mac, enjoy the game, and thank you so much for being flexible with us today. I do appreciate it, brother.
Oh, no problem. Always, Buck. Are you still in Green Bay?
I'm here till the end of the show, and then I'm hightailing it to the airport.
Well, put your coat on. I'm sure it hadn't warmed up any.
Buddy, I'm not taking this coat off until I'm well out of the state of Wisconsin. I'll see you, Mac.
See you, Buck.
That's the main man, Coach Dave McGinnis, with us on 104.5 The Zone. So I'm glad that we had Mac when we did, just because, obviously it would be easy to sink into this Todd Downing thing, and that's not something that I'm terribly interested in doing today. We'll have more information when Mike Vrabel speaks to the media in an hour. Again, we'll carry that press conference live for you. But let's talk about the offensive performance. I mean, my God, I haven't seen them play like that in the Chiefs game in 2021, where the offense is clearly and obviously functioning on a high level, where they have the bulk of their parts available to them. And really, the injuries for the offense, it hasn't been as prevalent as what the hell has happened on the defensive side of the ball throughout the course of this season. But I have been impressed with Ryan Tannehill in several different spots. And I don't want to take away from anything else that happened because I thought the protection was sound in spots. Dennis Daly definitely did get got a couple of times. Aaron Brewer did not have a totally clean performance at center, but held up well enough. And I think for all these things, that was such an important statement game for that quarterback, that coaching staff in the moment, understanding what we have now at our disposal as far as what has happened since the team got back to Nashville with Todd Downing. But for the quarterback, for the coaching staff, and for the success, the future success, to be able to build for that rookie wide receiver. This dude, I don't care if he ends up being A.J. Brown or not. Like, I'm so bored with the comparisons that have been consistently made. But he set a career high in receptions, a career high in yards. They were over 53% in converting third downs. They sustained drives. They had an 18-play drive that took 10 damn minutes off the clock. They basically had the ball for the entirety of the second quarter. Now, that particular drive didn't end in points, but still, sustaining of drives is something that this team has so desperately needed. For them to have more touchdown drives than punts last night, it's almost like, who are these Titans? Where have they been? And the answer is, give the quarterback a little bit of time. Get one legitimate playmaker back in that receiving game, and the rest of them can flourish as a result. Touchdown, punt, turnover on downs, touchdown. Tannehill throws the interception on 2nd and 2, 2 punts, a 51-yard bomb to end the game and kneel it out. That's as good as a performance. It is the best performance that they've had all year. 27 points is the most that this team has scored all year long, the previous high being 24. And they've not scored more than 20 points since Washington. That has been a considerable amount of time ago. And so as this thing starts to round into form, and we see, again, there is legitimate football implications for what happened to Todd Downing this morning with the DUI arrest and how that is specifically impacted if there is a suspension. Mike Vrabel may not know that by the time that we talk to him, although I'm sure there will at least have been some measures taken. If Todd Downing is suspended, who takes over the play calling? Does that affect the symbiotic relationship that clearly coaching staff and players have developed and have started to build upon? Because this is now 2 straight weeks where they've won a game based primarily on the strength of their passing attack. And that in and of itself is a massive development for this team as they start to work their way down the stretch. 7-3. I saw a stat this morning. We'll get back to your phone call. 615-737-1045 is the number. And in fact, let's hear from Mike Vrabel on players finding ways to execute on offense. This was something that we talked to him about at the podium last night. So the head coach had some thoughts as to what it was that his offense was able to put together in the against the Packers in a big spot.
Each and every week we just kind of have to try to, figure out ways to move the football offensively and defensively. As long as you don't give up big plays and, stop the run, which was a huge key this week, give yourselves a chance.
And in fact, they did give themselves more than a chance. The defense, again, we'll talk about the defense here later on. Nate Washington, former Titans wide receiver, going to join us as well, and we can circle back to the offense. But I also do want to hear from Tannehill on, playing like they were going to win the game and ended up doing just that by a considerable margin. This was Ryan Tannehill last night.
We faced a lot of adversity, and this week was no different. Coming on a short week, banged up, really got ourselves ready to go early in the week, set our mind that we were going to come up here and win this game, and we did exactly that.
Did that get you fired up? He said we came up here to win that game, and that's what we did. That's the Tannehill I wanted.
Why are you unhinged? What's wrong with you?
Because I'm trying to combat all the bad energy with good energy. And last night...
Wait. Bleep you. I don't have bad energy today. I have great energy today.
to your point, it wasn't just you. I was talking. It's not just you. Well, that felt a little pointed. I'm not talking about you. And in fact, I think you've done a pretty good job of being positive today. I think you're really learning from hanging out with me so much how to look at the bright side of life. But when you when you saunter into Green Bay with that swagger, Derrick Henry had 2 touchdowns, throwing it on the ground. When Ryan Tannehill plays like that, you can't help but be hype. I ain't even a Titans fan, and that's known. And I'm hyped for y'all. I'm riding with y'all. This is a cool team. Get up. Throw your damn hands up.
Oh, my God. See, this is the thing that sometimes I wish that I had that.
You do. It's in there. You ain't never tried to holler and just, let a little bit out? Give me a good holler. Give me your battle cry real quick.
I'm in a public place. I'm not giving you a
public.
battle
It's a
cry
place
right
of work. You're in a soundproof studio covered in 1970s carpet, Buck.
Give me
Give me one of them.
Did you see the pictures of this place? This is anything but sound.
I saw so many cords coming out of the back of that board of yours.
I was disoriented. It looked like I was manufacturing a bomb. This is what that made me feel like, because I didn't even see the front of the board when the picture that Steve took. Anyway, 615-737-1045 is the number. Eric is in Nashville up next. Hey, Eric.
It's you. It's you. Yes. Hey, Todd. Hello?
You're on the radio.
Yes. I have to give it all. Here's the thing. I got to give Tannehill all credit, because Tannehill played a hell of a game last night. Our boys gave all their hearts and souls to the game. And when they go out on the field, it's by God's given grace that they give everything they've got just to play the game. And when you go out and play a game, you got to give 110% to the game. It's fundamental. It's physical, but fundamental. And when
Thank you for the call, Eric. We got 60 seconds on the clock before the music rolls. I think the cadence is what threw me off there.
Hello. Hi. Yes. Ryan Tannehill. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you for the call, Eric. But listen, his larger point is okay? His larger point is correct. They do give everything that they have for that coaching staff and for this team. And that's a rare enough thing. I'm going to explain why that is a rare enough thing coming up next. We do appreciate the call. Your phone call is welcome throughout the rest of the show, 615-737-1045. And sources say, since I've been doing some reporting already this morning, sources tell me that there may be another edition of Weekly Positivity.
Yeah.
Please don't sigh like that into the microphone. It's very disarming. I'm Buck Reising, live from Green Bay. It's 104.5 The Zone. If you've been feeling tired and grumpy, you've noticed weight gain or a loss of muscle mass, you've had a decrease in your sex drive, you need to get your testosterone levels checked. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has successfully treated thousands of men for low T. It's only $99 for a testosterone and PSA test, and in about an hour, you'll know your numbers. This is something that I did myself. I had no idea. Never even thought about my testosterone levels before, but I was very happy to have the conversation with Tennessee Men's Clinic to kind of get a better idea on how my body impacts my day-to-day goings-on. They specialize in men's health at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and they are reinventing men's health care. You know that prioritizing your health has never been more important. So call them today, 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Welcome back. Live from Green Bay. Getting ready to catch a plane here right after the show ends. Get on back to the, well, I'm not sure it's warm back in Nashville, but at least there's no snow.
It's warm in this studio, Buck. You know why?
Why's that?
Because my heart is burning up right now. And I can't believe you're going to come in. John Cena, trademark, it's all about the dodo. You're going to come into John Cena's theme music and be like, 104.5 The Zone, this is Buck Reising. I have zero energy. And I wish you would just go ahead and lick your thumb and stick that thing in a light socket. Could you do that for me?
Well, it's fitting maybe that I read a low tea ad before we came back.
Is that what they do to get more tea?
No, well, I don't know. Maybe that. I don't think that's a part of their treatment plan, but perhaps we will. We'll do our own independent research. No, it's not even that. What you think? You think I have bad energy today? Is that what you're assessing?
Not bad energy. I don't think anything is bad energy. I think you have low energy. So, like, I think you need to just. What do you drink in the morning? Like decaf? What are you doing to get ready?
No. Listen, mother bleeper. I got up at 6 in the morning.
How dare you?
After covering a 1 o'clock a game that got me out of there at about 1 a.m. Walked home about 15 minutes. Walked back to my hotel instead of doing the thing that I wanted to do, which is take an Uber 2 blocks. I said, no. You know what? I'm going to walk. I'm going to get some steps in. I'm going to feel good about this.
There you go.
And then I awoke at 6:30 in the morning to frantic texts about an offensive coordinator who had a DUI. I immediately started calling people within the facility to find out what the hell happened. I woke many of them up to the news that their offensive coordinator had gotten a DUI. I then proceeded to call I almost cussed, every law enforcement agency in the damn state of Tennessee to figure out whether this was actually so or whether somebody just photoshopped Todd Downing's face into a mugshot, because #fire Todd Downing has been a consistent plague in my life for, a year and a half at this point. So after all of that, I had my coffee. It was jet black, and it is going to get me through today, much like this next segment that we like to call Weekly Positivity.
God, that feels good after a win. Oh, man. Good morning, Buck.
Good morning.
Now I know why you were too busy to call me this morning and prep the show, because you were talking to every policeman with a cute smile. Is that what it was? Hello, officer. Got any news for me?
It would not be. That's not how I'm typically greeted on the phone when I say, hey, I'm a media member calling about an NFL coach that potentially got a DUI last night. I
don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
I want to talk about the good, Buck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start off, and then I'll just toss the rock to you. Call me Chris Paul in the corner, and it's good. I have something good that happened to me last night, Buck. While you're on the road, I'm watching your cats. I am their cat stepdaddy. And last night, as I was plopping their food down in their bowl and scraping the poo out of their litter box, I saw 2 little eyes peering over the top at me, and then he ran off. That is the first time I have seen your cat in ever. I've been feeding them for maybe 2 weeks now. That was great. But something else was great, Buck. Everybody's talking about Traylon Burks. Did you watch that 2-minute? Of course you did. You were there. You were on TV. Everyone's talking about it.
Oh, was I on TV?
Apparently. They want autographs. Bobby Trees is back. Bobby Trees is all the way back. He's so back, he's front, Buck. He's back.
That's a terrible joke.
None of them are good. Literally none of the jokes I do are good, Buck. I got one more good.
It doesn't matter. It's Weekly Positivity. Keep it going.
That's right. I've got one more good for you. A lot of people in the chat had something to say about my retro vintage shirt. Something that you might have wore to your class pictures in elementary school. Something that you might have spilt barbecue sauce on Chicken Nugget Day on. And you know what? This thing is swag. I look very good in this. Vertical lines make me slimmer and don't show off the pooch. So, that's what's going on great in my life, Buck. How about you share something that's going on good in yours?
I just saw the way that you puffed out your stomach on the video when you said pooch.
I got the Johnny Bravo going on. Oh,
my God. That might be the best thing that's happened to me this week.
Tell me something good, Buck.
Oh, you know what's good?
What's that?
The people of Green Bay, Wisconsin are lovely.
So good.
Truly lovely. So for all of my bad energy that you're accusing me of, for low T, whatever your problems with me today, there is nothing that will rejuvenate your faith in humanity after watching people drag an offensive coordinator with a DUI across the surface of the internet sun for basically 3 hours this morning than a lovely Uber driver from Green Bay, Wisconsin, just asking me about my day. Getting to know me a little bit.
Common courtesy.
Well, it's chivalry's not dead, even though I don't think that's necessarily an act of chivalry. It was lovely to have been in Green Bay. I could do without their weather, but everybody here could not have nicer things to say about them. That is my moment of weekly positivity.
Buck, that was so good.
It was, wasn't it?
And look, I don't want to end this right here, even though we have to. If you out there want to share a moment of positivity from your week or the week that's coming, give them a call. Give them the number, Buck.
No, I'm not doing that.
615-737-1045. Give us a call and share your moment of weekly positivity. See, that wasn't so bad, dude. That was not bad. It's good to get that out sometimes.
The last time that we did this, I could not think of a good thing to say. I don't know why it's so hard for me.
That's sad. That's sad.
Is it?
It is, dude. I can name like 4 more good things. My mom just got a promotion at work. I'm going to Baltimore this weekend to potentially smoke a cigar with Ed Reed. I get to hang out with my best friends, and I get to do a show with you every day. Well, until Lucas comes back. I feel like your mistress, honestly. Like as soon as your wife comes home, I'm out the bedroom window. Oh, here's Robert, and we just act like we don't know anything. But what we have is special, Buck, and I appreciate it.
Well, if things get dull in the bedroom, always good to spice it up every once in a while.
Bring me in.
Especially in that slimming shirt.
But half the time I'm in here watching anyway.
Go to break. Superbook Sports. They'll get you in on the action. Not Robert Walsh kind of action, but a particular kind of action if you would like to wager on your favorite sports. They have the best app. It's clean. It's easy to use. Everything is very, very plainly laid out. It also comes with the best odds boosts and promotions that you will find. They even have a tab for Tennessee teams specifically, so you can get the best props and promos on your local teams. Vols, Titans, Preds, what have you. They will get you going in the Superbook Sports app. They'll also match your first bet up to $1,000, win or lose. So download the Superbook Sports app today. Go to superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
What the hell's going on a Victory Friday from the Superbook.com Sports Desk? I'm Robert Walsh. Nice win for the Titans last night over Green Bay, 27-17, fueled by a dominating offensive performance. Ryan Tannehill went 22 of 27 for a 333, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, while rookie wide receiver Treylon Burke had his highest output of the season, pulling in 7 balls for 111 yards. Derrick Henry added 87 yards and 1 score on the ground, and another to Austin Hooper. The Titans never trailed and have won 7 of their last 8. And bad news for the Titans, offensive coordinator Todd Downing was arrested for DUI and speeding last night, the Williamson County Sheriff confirmed. Downing posted bond at nearly 7 a.m. And the Predators beat the Islanders 5-4. Nashville has won 3 in a row, all at home, and is their longest winning streak of the season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second down on a Friday. Welcome in to 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back. If you've been spending your morning with us so far, very happy to have you as always. Robert Walsh is back in Nashville. I'm hanging out in Green Bay for about 2 more hours, and then I'm headed on home. Your number or your phone number or your phone calls, always welcome. 615-737-1045 is the number. That's what I'm trying to say. 615-737-1045. So, obviously, we've touched on the news of Todd Downing and that situation. Mike Vrabel going to speak to the media. We'll carry that press conference live via Zoom at 11:30. Robert, I can think of no more situation, no more setting for absolutely calamitous potential than Mike Vrabel answering questions about an offensive coordinator who got a DUI after a 10-point win on the road against the back-to-back reigning MVP of the NFL via Zoom.
What side would you lean more heavily to? The side that he would give a very angry answer, or the side that he would give a very despondent answer?
I would like to submit to you a third option.
Please.
I would like to submit to you the idea that I think there are 3 people in the media corps under the age of 40, and that I love my colleagues, and I am very grateful to have worked alongside and learned from just about every one of these people, but also the inability to cleanly operate a Zoom in a head coach's press conference led to some of the most cringeworthy moments of my NFL media career during the pandemic season. I feel like we are on the verge of a potential Mike Vrabel Zoom call walk-off with how poorly I feel in my bones that this is going to go. But we'll find out what that looks like at 11:30 and see what Mike has to say about the game, of course, after he's had the opportunity to watch the film, and, of course, the situation at hand as well. Nate Washington also going to join us later on in the show, 12:20. You can expect to hear from him, and we'll pivot back to the offense at that point. Now, the offense, I think, is the highlight of the conversation today. Season high for points, career high in receptions and yards for Treylon Burks. Ryan Tannehill having his best outing of the day or of the season by a mile. But the defense, again, and with even more attrition that they continue to experience, found ways to come up in a big spot. It is as there are so many different ways that this team wins. And the defense, I think, has been the most consistent part of it. Now, the thing that kind of throws that all into flux is Danico Autry's injury last night. Ruled questionable to return, did not return, with a knee injury, was clearly broken up about whatever it was that happened to him on the field when he went down. I haven't seen very many moments beyond the ambulance coming out onto the field for the Buffalo corner, the defensive back who suffered a neck injury when the Titans played the Bills in September. I've not seen a moment from his Titans teammates, Danico Autry's teammates, where everybody went down on a knee, where players were hovering over him to, comfort or to care for him and try and stay out of the way of the medical staff, but also provide reassurance, because we don't know how significant yet the knee injury is. I know he's having an MRI today, and I know it's at this time, as we sit here at 11:05 a.m. Central Time, I know it is not currently considered a season-ending injury. Beyond that, I don't know how much time it's going to cost him, and I think that's the one thing that might be difficult for them to survive, because Jeff is clearly still not right. And they found ways. Simmons got a sack on Rodgers at the end. That was the only sack of the game. The pass rush was there. They were flustering the Packers, and they did a spectacular job to suffocate that rushing attack that they did have. But to hear kind of the dejectedness of Matt LaFleur, for example, on the extremely disappointing results of not just last night, but of their season, I feel like Titans fans have to take some great joy in that, because it's, again, an opportunity for them to play spoiler. Here was the Packers head coach last night.
Yeah, there's got to be an urgency, and I challenged everybody in the locker room, including myself and the coaches. Every individual has something to work on and get better at. Again, just extremely disappointed right now.
Did you see the question that Aaron Rodgers was asked last night? They asked him, where do you go from here? And he said, home. They are hurt bad, bro.
They're 4-7.
Woof. There ain't a whole lot of RELAX going on over there today.
No. In fact, there's a lot of deflection. How much does the thumb injury impact some of the throws he was missing? He was objectively bad last night. Aaron Rodgers played a piss-poor game. He made one or two throws that I can think of off the top of my head that you felt like, okay, that looks more like the back-to-back MVP of the NFL that I'm accustomed to seeing. And moments where, he caught them slipping on a penalty, as we talked about with the Titans coaching staff and defensive players all week long, where he got a free play, ended up getting a Christian Watson touchdown out of it. He had a nice pass over the middle of the field to Randall Cobb. He had a couple of nice deep plays to Randall Cobb in particular, and Alan Lazard as well. Christian Watson now went from 0 touchdowns on the season as a rookie wide receiver to leading all rookie wide receivers in the span of like the last 6 days.
He has more touchdowns than DJ Moore does this year, or in any year of DJ Moore's career.
That's actually pretty crazy.
Why
DJ Moore specifically?
He's a low touchdown guy, but still. And for all the junk that was talked about the Titans wide receivers, I'm sure that will still go on. But how bad do Packers fans have to feel right now? They're kind of in a similar position. They've got a rookie wide receiver who's kind of on the cusp of being the next guy, and then a bunch of guys. After last night, I would take the Titans wide receivers over the decrepit, dilapidated Sammy Watkins that they threw out there. And the body language between Rodgers and his receivers was horrendous. I would not want to play with him. Mostly because I'm round and can't run very far, and he would be upset with me, but I would not want to play with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, there's many people who are not round and run faster than you who he's also upset with. So I think, anybody can get the smoke.
Give me a shot.
In that shirt? Hell yeah. 615-737-1045. You jump in. Is it Bamboni in Clarksville up next?
Bamboni.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
How y'all gentlemen doing today?
We are swell. Thank you for asking.
Yes, sir. I want to talk about Titans did a swell job. Now, let's say they get better and keep on doing it, and should be a great season. Hey, balls by 50. Rocky Top, baby! And then, Buck, last but not least, I want to talk about your battle cry. To me, the people, your counterparts, to let us hear that battle cry. You can't be a negative Nathaniel and not do it and sit there and stew like a pot of Jimmy Hyams gumbo, all right? So give the people what they want.
Y'all gentlemen have a great day.
Thank you for the call. Is that a round of applause for Bamboni I hear in the background?
I love it. The crowd is growing to hear your cry.
Maybe to hear me cry. I think people would pay money to watch me squirt legitimate tears, but a battle cry. I don't know that I've ever done a.
You ain't never seen Lion King where they're like, "I'm working on my roar." You can't do like a roar. Like I feel like I'm the little fat kid from Shrek now. Like do the roar. Come on, dude. Like just crank it.
The roar.
Ah! Just hit him with one of those. You can't do that.
It just sounds like you've fallen down a flight of steps.
Ah! Help my leg. Like, come on, man. Give him a holler.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I just want to hear your battle cry. Everybody wants to hear the cry.
Okay. Well, I feel like you can't just give people that because obviously this is going to take a great amount of effort on my part.
Oh, my God. The holler. I bet if your cleaning lady didn't come, you'd holler.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
hey, there you go. Be like, yo, my house is messy. Give me that. I'd deal with that.
If I came home later this evening, as I will, and the cleaning ladies had not stopped by my house, as is the custom on Thursdays, and I came home to a mess that I have no interest in doing myself, which is why the whole reason I make money is to pay people to do things that I don't want to do, there would be a different kind of battle cry uttered from the most guttural part of my soul. But that would be in the privacy of my home and not in front of a live microphone for God knows how many people to hear.
Look. You only get 2 of these a day. It's 11:11, and my wish. I'm not going to say it because it won't come true, but you know what my wish is.
6-1. Well, maybe stick around for the rest of the show. We'll see. We'll see what kind of payoff I can deliver with any potential battle cry. In the meantime, let's go to Kendall in Nashville next. Hey, Kendall.
Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing today?
Talk to me, stud.
Yes, sir. So just 2 things: a comment and then a question for you. Comment just on the Todd Downing thing, and I'll keep that short. People make mistakes, and people need to grow the hell up and realize that we all human, and that's it. We learn, we live, and we learn, and that's that. My question to you is, how do you think the Titans are able to keep having all these injuries and guys come off the bench and just continue to keep going like the starters are out there? I'm really intrigued by that. These guys, they come in, they don't play like backups. They come in, they play like they could be starters on other teams, and they do their job.
It's honestly thank you for the call. It's honestly one of the most intriguing phenomenons of this NFL season. Because I saw I like to there's a person at ESPN, forgive me, I'm stumbling all over myself as I try to look up his Twitter handle, but his name is they call him Hembo at ESPN. He's one of their top stats and information guys at ESPN. He listed this out about an hour ago. The Titans under Mike Vrabel in 2022, they're 7-3 currently. Their over/under win projection was 9. In 2021, they went 12-5, number 1 overall seed. Their over/under set at 9.5. 2020, 11-5. Their over/under set at 8.5. 2019, 8 wins was the projection. They went 9-7, as was the case in his first season in 2018. Nobody overachieves at a higher level than Mike Vrabel. And as a result, because of the way that these guys feed off Mike and the staff, because there are plenty of people on this staff who do not get the name. I don't want to call it brand equity, but the name or their names mentioned very often because we say Mike Vrabel and the Titans coaching staff, right? And rightfully so. Like Mike is the thing, the catalyst for all of it. But the way that they're able to maximize the abilities of dudes that they just find out there, like Mario Edwards was on the Jags practice squad. He's just chilling. They're not doing anything. They brought him in. He's one of the best pass rushers that they've had this season, like wholesale. Jeff Simmons, Bud Dupree, Harold Landry hasn't played, but you understand my point. Andrew Adams has played as much starting safety for them this year as Amani Hooker has, and has played at a high level. It's a pretty fascinating case study. I wish there was a way I wish I had a better answer for your question, other than these dudes just believe, and I almost hate that as analysis, because there's no way for me to truly quantify it other than to look at how often they overachieve in ways that are clear and obvious to everyone. It's the thing that's most associated with Titans football at this point. As much as Derrick Henry and an unbelievable playmaking ability, as much as Jeff Simmons and his gifts to be able to wreck a game at any given point. This is a kind of toughness and resiliency that is so hard to find, and yet they do it each and every week, no matter the result, and they do it so well. 615-737-1045. More of your phone calls. Let's talk about Derrick Henry, actually, before Mike Vrabel's press conference begins at 11:30, because he reached a mark quite quietly last night, and I don't think we're talking about it enough. I'm Buck Reising, live from Green Bay. It's 104.5 The Zone. QC Kinetics can help you deal with that nagging joint pain that so many of us have. Whether it's in your hips, your back, your elbows, your knees, QC Kinetics has the treatment that will get you right. Their regenerative medicine properties will help you get that lasting relief that so many of us crave. They have been doing this in Middle Tennessee. The results have been fantastic. If you want testimonials for yourself, they are available for you on their Instagram page. QC Kinetics is always going to make sure that you get that lasting relief that you are seeking. And it can do so many things to derail your quality of life if you don't get that nagging joint pain taken care of. It's an all-natural treatment that can get you that lasting relief that people are raving about since its arrival here in Middle Tennessee. So call QC Kinetics today, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to springhillac.com.
Certainly is. Welcome back. Mike Vrabel going to speak to the media about 9 minutes from now. Robert, just let me know in my ear when he's up and rolling on the Zoom. And
No.
Okay. Now who has bad energy? Bleep you, Aaron Rodgers.
I'll help
I bet
you
that
out.
guy played a lot this morning. 615-737-1045. Let's talk about Derrick Henry. Because Derrick, a lot of grueling yards last night, and obviously, you know, there's going to be a couple of different situations addressed with Mike Vrabel here in a second, the least of which Todd Downing, not the least of which Todd Downing at this point with the DUI situation, as was reported earlier this morning by multiple outlets. Terry McCormick had the mugshot first. But as you look at the situation for Derrick Henry last night, grueling performance, but a necessary one, and one that makes this team in particularly a certain kind of dangerous. Because there's nothing like 28 for 87 and a touchdown. Now, he also threw a touchdown. He threw 2 passes last night and a touchdown pass, including the touchdown pass. So 28 attempts, 87 yards, it's a grind, right? It's one of those grueling, gutted out, Derrick Henry has to do this X amount of times to help them kind of salt away a win. Average 3.1 yards per attempt. Had the rushing touchdown where he looked like he was shot out of a cannon. He was moving. And that Green Bay defense, there was a couple of them made business decisions there that they were not interested. And then the pop pass was great. In fact, Robert, if you could find on my Twitter timeline the clip from Derrick Henry at the podium last night, because I asked him about the jump pass, and we can just play it off my Twitter if you would. I asked him about the jump pass, and his response was funny. But the way that Derrick has quietly, now I understand that we are now into week 11 of the NFL season, but Derrick got over 1,000 yards last night for the year. That's about as quietly as a 1,000-yard season could sneak up on somebody. I know obviously we all were aware of it when I think he had a 6-yard carry to put him over the top last night. He was 4 yards away before the carry, got 6 yards and went over 1,000 yards. But his performance last night was as critical to their success as anything, because you know the attention he's going to attract. You know the defense is going to try to stop him. But when you can get him with a pop pass like the one he threw to Austin Hooper, it gets people pretty going. We talked to Derrick about that and a couple other things last night at the podium. Maybe not.
Technical issues. Give me 1 second.
That's okay. You know what? Don't worry about it. We'll come back to it because I don't want to bog things down for Mike Vrabel here in about 5 minutes. That's okay. But still, to have 1,000 yards, sneak up on you that way, at least it felt to me. Perhaps I'm not. I've seen him. You know, I'm so used to watching him kind of grind it out that way that. Yeah, I know he's had big performances so far this year. I know they had a game where they threw one pass in an entire second half of football. But still, to see Derrick operate at that level and to achieve, again, 1,000 yards and really it be kind of routine, it's another impressive thing about him. Now let's hear from Derrick Henry last night.
A short week. Came in all week, focused, determined. Paying attention to the little detail, to small things in all 3 phases. Focus on getting better. Came in a great environment, hostile environment, and was able to get the win. Play a complete game as a team.
Derrick, a couple weeks ago, you shook every defensive player's hand, thanking them for effort. How good was it for you guys, to come out here and put 27 points on the board a couple weeks later?
This proud of everybody on offense, man, sticking together, focus, making plays, just being in tune no matter what happened in the game. Brian did a great job, receivers did a great job. Lon did a great job blocking, tight ends, Torrey, Chig and Traylon making big plays for us. Very happy for them, man, making some big plays and some really important drives in the game. And I'm just happy all around at how everybody played.
How good did it feel to hit the jump pass?
Felt great, man. I got 2 of them now, so
3.
That's 3? I thought it was 2. Damn. I call myself a young Peyton Manning, so it felt good. And I was happy who caught it and be able to get a score.
What's it like?
That's Derrick, young Peyton Manning, Henry, at the podium last night. He seems he had really great energy despite the kind of grinding performance that he was asked to put forth, and did so flawlessly. And to have the over-the-top threat that Treylon Burks was last night, and to see how much that freed up for the rest of the passing game when there was even just the slightest bit of protection, because he was getting harassed a little bit. Preston Smith had a day with Dennis Daly, and there's only so many times we can talk about that situation without being redundant, but it continues to be a thing. So for all the different issues that the Titans offense has had, to see these things operating both cohesively and then independently of one another, it's a really, really cool thing to see. And for him to eclipse 1,000 yards quite quietly was it's something that I never cease to marvel at Derrick and what he does, even when statistically you don't feel like it's anything crazy. Because what would be a tackle for a loss or a gain of 1 or 2 for any other running back, this man somehow figures out how to get 3 or 4 out of it and does it consistently, where all of a sudden these things are stacked up. Now, the Titans can make teams pay. Corey Curtis just tweeted me this, our friend at WKRN News 2. The Titans can make teams pay for single safety defensive looks if they stack up on Henry, and now Treylon Burks has proved why that would be problematic. Something that we know that Michael, just call Mike Vrabel Michael. Who do you think there's anybody in Mike's life that calls him Michael?
Maybe his mom. You think she calls him Mike? I feel like that's why, like, when I was growing up, all my friends called me Robbie. But once I graduated college, I was like, no, I'm Robert now. So, like,
yeah, but you can't even have that satisfaction because Mickey immediately turned it into Bert.
Which, that's what all my college friends called me. But, like, I would imagine he's got some people who are like, Michael, congratulations on that win last night. Maybe not. That sounded so weird coming out of my mouth.
I don't think so. It's very bizarre. I don't like it. I don't want to do that again. But anyway, Corey Curtis's larger point is correct. The Titans can now make teams pay for stacking the box with Treylon Burks' presence. And we've seen that materialize as he's worked back into this thing. We've seen that materialize over the last 2 weeks. Well, I guess it's not been 2 full weeks. In the last, 5 days since they played another football game between the Broncos and the Packers, which Treylon Burks obviously missing a few weeks, little over a month on the injured reserve, coming back. And as we talked about with Ryan Tannehill and as we talked about with Coach Mack earlier in the show, really rounding in the form. And I look forward to getting Nate Washington's thoughts on the Titans passing game, specifically when he will join us at 12:20. So Mike Vrabel's going to be at the podium. And obviously, I imagine the Downing situation is going to be the lead. But there's a couple of different football questions I'd be curious to know his response on after having the opportunity to see the film. Now, as far as the Downing situation goes, I think there are going to be questions about, well, is there a punishment that you guys have decided on, or repercussions? Punishment, I don't know. I mean, it is a punishment, whatever is going to come down internally. I'd be curious to know if he's going to share that, and if that affects just from a fundamental standpoint, not even like organizational policy on things like driving under the influence and the like, but what that affects as far as the football operation is concerned, if for whatever their decision ends up being, Todd Downing is suspended or otherwise. We'll see what comes about, but the head coach will be at the virtual podium here in the next minute or so, and we'll see what his thoughts are on that. Whether they open up with a statement. Mike Vrabel is starting now, so why don't we go live to the Zoom press conference? Well, he said they were starting, but we'll keep you updated. An update from Adam Schefter. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Sorry about that.
I took some questions.
Okay, great. First off, I would just like to address the incident that occurred earlier this morning with Todd Downing. I've spoken to Todd. I've spoken to Miss Amy. John and I have been in communication with her, with the league. The league has policies with regards to these incidents, and we'll make sure that the league has all the information that they need. I also know that you have many specific questions regarding the incident, but out of respect to the legal process, the process that the league has, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to answer many of those specific questions. I will say, however, that we all have a great responsibility as members of this community, as coaches and players of this organization, as fathers and husbands and teammates to make great decisions. And we understand that. And so I'll do my best to answer the questions that you have, but also out of respect to the situation, there's going to be some things that I'm not going to be able to talk about.
Teresa?
Mike, one question. There is availability for anyone on the team and in the organization that needs a ride to get a ride, no matter what time of day it is, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Teresa. That's something that we had before I got here, and something that we continue to have. So yes, that's provided through our ownership and the team.
John Gunner?
Yeah, Mike, I know that you're somewhat limited in what you can say, but does the team or do you have any policy or plans in terms of discipline for Todd Downing, or is that strictly an NFL situation?
I think that we're working through all of that right now. In our conversations that John and I have had, also between us, our president Burke, and I don't think that we're ready to comment on that, on what that may look like. Again, just remind everybody that the decisions that we have to make have to be great ones, and we'll continue to have conversations with the league, and then also internally.
Terry?
Mike, don't know how much you can comment regarding this either, but with it being a legal matter, does the league policy usually let the legal matter run its course before they institute any form of discipline?
Terry, I can't tell you that that's always been the case. I'm not very confident on that either way. I'm not sure how the league goes about that. We'll just comply with whatever that they ask us to do, and then we'll make a decision and figure out what's next.
Corey?
Hey, Mike, two things. You said you spoke to Todd. Number one, how is he? And number two, can you offer some clarity on what those league policies are?
Well, I have spoken to Todd. The league policies are that we're making sure that we're responsible and that we're making great decisions. We'll continue to work through the league with our actions and our behavior. But the conversation between Todd and I is just like the rest of it with our staff and our players. Will remain with me, and I'll keep those between Todd and
I. Joe?
Coach, have you already talked to the team yet? And if not, how do you plan on addressing this with the rest of the team, especially with them kind of taking a break now before you guys regroup before Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain, players that, I reach out to after the game. Our players are off. And I'll make sure that it gets addressed when we get back in here. Still a lot of things that we're working through. And I know that, Joe, you spent a lot of time around us, so have a lot of you guys. And, we'll try to, we'll address it and we'll provide support where support is needed. And we'll make sure that, just as always, that there's something that needs to be held accountable, we'll make sure that that person's held accountable. But we'll address it. Obviously, just haven't had a chance really to get the team together, and it's just the timing of it.
Chris Harris.
Hey, Mike, in your experience, both as a player and a coach in the NFL, how often is alcohol on a plane? And is there any regulation on how it's served or moderated or anything?
Well, I think a lot of these are specifics with regards to the incident. I think we're all gathering information right now, Chris. So I won't be able to comment specifically on this or what was in the past or other places that I've been.
Just as a quick follow, just in general, how, in your experience, how often has alcohol been on the plane?
Yeah. I know that these are some specific questions that I'm not going to be able to address at this time, just with regards to the league process and the legal process. And, very, very, very sensitive to the situation and making sure that, we're doing everything that we can to provide great decisions with ourselves and the community.
Gentry.
Yeah, Mike, just how discouraging is this for you after a pretty good win last night to be sitting here talking about this?
I don't think discouraging, Gentry. I don't want to try to give it an adjective. I don't. It's a part of, it's an incident that came up. It's something that we are going to take very seriously. We're going to gather all the information that we can, figure out what the next step is, and do our best to move forward. So I don't think discouraged, is something that I've thought about today.
Teresa.
Gonna grind gears a little bit here, Mike, but to turn around on a short week and to find a way to win a road game in the fashion last night with the best offensive performance overall that this team's had this season, how nice is it to at least flip a page in that way to see so much contributions?
I'm extremely happy and proud of our players, Teresa. They came in Monday, they committed to telling their bodies and their minds that it was a Wednesday and Thursday, and they got to work. And I know that they played a physical game against Denver. They committed to putting the work into preparing to go on the road and in a great environment. And I'm extremely happy and for them. I'm proud of them. And our body language was amazing. Guys were into it. They were straining to get the first down and all the things that we talked about and the keys. And, it wasn't perfect. We had some 3 and outs and there was mistakes but guys didn't waver. And every time they needed to answer, they answered. So, I'm excited to be able to move forward with that and show them, really what they can do.
Corey.
I'm sorry, I know you hate the injury questions, but Danico's been such a huge part of your football team. Is he going to miss time, or do you have an idea on where he's at?
I would expect, Corey, for there to be some time missed. I think that we really are lucky. I've seen Danico already today, so there may be some time missed, but Nico usually finds a way to get back sooner rather than later.
Jim.
Mike, how'd you like your production, I guess, from your receiving core, from Traylon to Robert to Nick Westbrook-Akine, and how much of a jump should that give them confidence-wise moving forward?
Well, again, we all get confidence by repeated acts, repeated success. They've been working hard, and it was Ryan did a great job distributing the ball. It was very accurate last night. He had the one mistake, but was very accurate. We made some contested catches when it was zone. We caught it, we drop step, we got first downs, hit some plays down the field. So there was really cool involvement from everybody. I thought Hoop had a great catch, contested catch on the sidelines. That he was close on the first down. They ended up making it short, but a lot of really good things. And they dropped Chig, and we found him, and he ran under that ball. So a lot of things to build on, but we'll just have to keep going.
Terry?
Mike, how big was it that a guy like Trey Avery, who's played very few snaps on the defense this year, was able to come in and late in the ball game when Christian went down and make 2 or 3 pretty good plays?
Yeah, it's just it's a testament to the player specifically, but then Anthony Midget, Scott Booker, Shane Bowen, making sure that these guys are ready to go. And making sure that they, can operate when they get in there in a pressure situation.
Sam?
Mike, just more specifically with Traylon, with all that he's been through in this rookie season, the ups and downs, and then the injury, how, I guess, rewarding is it for you as his coach and for him to finally break a few of those big ones and have a big game in prime time?
It's rewarding. I think he's building a lot of trust in us and in who we are, and also understanding what this league is. This is a very unforgiving league if you're not prepared physically and mentally. So hopefully, this is just a good reminder of what he can do. When he's prepared. I told you that there were some mistakes during the week early on, and so I'm proud of the way that he responded, got those things corrected, and was able to go out there and help us win and have some success.
Chris Harris?
Mike, in your opinion, was this one of the better games that Ryan has had this season? He looked to be pretty much on point other than the one interception.
Yeah, he was accurate. Some times where the line allows to progress through, the first third down, he kind of works to the front side and then, sees Traylon kind of going through the middle and is able to come back and plant his feet and throw that ball. And so I thought that when the protection can hold up, you're able to progress through, and, Ryan was able to find some guys.
Kayla?
Hey, Coach. Pretty cool moment for Ben Jones there to be on the FaceTime after that win. I know really tough for a guy like that to miss a game like that. Just your reaction to seeing that, and then also what'd you think about Aaron Brewer coming in for him last night?
Yeah, I thought, how much Ben means to me personally and to this football team. We were in constant communication. And enjoyed seeing him, and I know he was obviously excited for his teammates. He'll do everything he can to get back and be with us on the field, but he's always with us in his spirit and his passion for life and passion for football and this team. I thought Brew really did a nice job, stepped in there and battled and did a nice job.
Buck?
Yeah, Mike, the penalty situation last night, relatively clean. How did you think that they performed from an operational standpoint?
The Titans or the officials?
The Titans.
Well, I mean, the penalties on special teams, we talk about drive start, and that's not going to be good enough, Buck. We talked all week how we wanted to play with penalty-free aggression, and that's going to cost us. You can't start drives inside the 10-yard line, inside the 12-yard line. But all in all, I felt like we were able to play physical without fouling. We'll have to get the special teams things cleaned up and go on the road and be able to work our cadence, and we got them to jump off sides. So I thought that there was a lot of positive things there.
John Glennon.
Yeah, Mike, a couple of the keys for you guys defensively over the last several weeks have been the sacks and picks. Didn't really have a lot necessarily in either of those departments last night, but what did you do well that you were still able to contain that Green Bay offense pretty well?
Well, we were very competitive against the run. I think you give them a lot of credit. They put up some big games rushing the football. They come up with some creative schemes. Obviously, some good stuff in there that we had to get corrected on the sidelines that maybe we hadn't seen. And then we were okay with we didn't give up a ton of big plays. We were just good enough on third down to get off the field and get some stops when we needed
it. Jim Wyatt.
Mike, I'm just curious, how will you structure things now with a little bit of extra time, and should the time, or does it make you hopeful that you'll be able to get some guys back for the Bengals game?
Yeah, I am hopeful. I'll go check on those guys here after this. Structure-wise, the players will be off. We'll be back in on Tuesday. Jimmy will work Tuesday and Wednesday. I want to be able to give them Thursday to spend with their families or loved ones, and then get back to work on Friday.
John Glennon.
Yeah, Mike, a lot of times earlier in the season, you talked about the X plays allowed and how significant they were. The other side of things last night, how important was it for your offense to kind of show that ability to hit those X plays, especially in the passing game, and to balance out the running game that you guys have?
Yeah, we've talked about it to be able to, put scoring drives together. You're going to have to hit some critical third downs. You're going to have to hit some X plays along the way. And that changes field position, changes momentum. So it was certainly welcome, whether that's down the field or getting a guy on a screen. I thought the screen to Derrick was great. And we'll have to keep working on trying to produce those.
All right, Coach, that's all of them. From a media standpoint, we'll pick things back up on Tuesday. It'll be a regular Wednesday for us, so we'll see you then.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
That's Titans head coach Mike Vrabel at the virtual podium, and not a lot of detail able to be given by Mike at this point, but we can react to that and what he had to say about the game. Coming up next. Owning a business is a wonderful thing, but it comes with a ton of responsibility. I don't have to tell you this if you are somebody who owns your own business. One responsibility that simply cannot be overlooked is your business's accounting and taxes. You can check that job off your list by using who I trust, Forsyth and Hilario CPAs. Their goal is to allow you to focus on what you're passionate about. That's your business's development. Forsyth and Hilario CPAs provide advisory, tax, and accounting expertise so you can continue to do what it is that you do best. That's grow your business. Visit CPAforsyth.com today. That's CPAFORSYTH.com. Welcome back to the show. Mike Vrabel at the podium there talking about everything going on with Todd Downing and a little bit on the game last night. I will say today, it's the first day in a long time that I haven't seen a fire the OC call. But a lot of situations Mike Vrabel unable to comment on. Nate Washington is going to be here in just about 25 minutes from now. We'll talk about the offense more specifically and react to what Mike Vrabel had to say because we went long. A little bit of a short one here, but your phone calls, they're coming up next.
It's 12:02. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Robert Walsh. Nice win for the Titans last night over Green Bay, 27-17, fueled by a dominating offensive performance as Ryan Tannehill went 22 of 27 for 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, while rookie wide receiver Treylon Burks had his highest output of the season, pulling in 7 balls for 111 yards. Derrick Henry added 87 yards on the ground and 1 score, and another as he tossed it to Austin Hooper. The Titans never trailed and have won 7 of their last 8. The bad news for the Titans, offensive coordinator Todd Downing was arrested for DUI and speeding last night, the Williamson County Sheriff confirmed. Downing posted bail at nearly 7 a.m. The Predators beat the Islanders 5-4. Nashville has won 3 in a row, all at home, and is their longest winning streak of the season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour, off and rolling, live from Green Bay. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back if you've been hanging out with us so far. A lot of discussion yet to have, and we'd be happy to do it with you. 615-737-1045. Titans over the Packers here at Lambeau last night, 27-17. I'm going to hear from some of the players I talked to in the locker room after a very, very big win. And, of course, you heard Mike Vrabel's press conference just a few minutes ago talking about a variety of subjects, including the arrest of offensive coordinator Todd Downing this morning for speeding and driving under the influence. 615-737-1045 is how you can join the conversation. So in a couple of different moments last night, we were talking about amongst ourselves, myself, Tehran, Rex Road, PK, like everybody, sitting, Steve Lehman, all sitting there in the press box together and talking about, okay, like, are they, it's such a lame sports talk radio argument, but are the Titans for real? I almost hate saying that into a microphone. Are they for real? How would you even quantify something like that? What would be the metric for real or not real in the NFL? And I can't help but come back to what they did offensively last night, even though the defense is the reason that they find themselves largely in the position that they're in. At 7-3, leading their division by a consequential margin. They've got a big game coming up when next they'll play 10 days from now against the Cincinnati Bengals, which, of course, comes with all manner of memories, for lack of a better term. And for the Titans, the thing that that affirmed my belief in them is that what I saw from them on offense last night was not only the best offensive performance they've had of the season, but a legitimate counterpunch to what it is that Derrick and that defense give them on a regular basis. Now, if you listen to the press conference earlier, among other things, I asked Mike Vrabel about the penalties. They were not penalized hardly at all. They had a special teams penalty that put them back at the 10, behind the 10, to start a drive, which obviously Mike was not thrilled about. But 2 penalties is the fewest that they have had counted against them in a game this season, coming off a performance against the Broncos where they had 9 and have been kind of steadily hovering between 7 and 9 per game the last couple of weeks. Really, all season long, it's been a slog for them. And so once they got the operational part under control and just a sliver of pass protection that allowed them the opportunity to succeed, well, then I'm looking around and saying, okay, this is kind of like a NFL on notice game. This was so they've had 3 primetime games thus far. Buffalo, an utter embarrassment at every level. Kansas City, oh, look at the scrappy Titans. Here they are, rookie quarterback who can't really operate their passing game, a defense that is unholy, holding Patrick Mahomes in check and taking them to overtime in a game that they very, very much could have won had the starting quarterback been available. Then there's last night, where you just flat kicked Aaron Rodgers' ass. At home, in the cold, Lambeau's supposed to work to their advantage, not yours. And it was the opportunity, as I mentioned earlier in the show, to play spoiler. So among the players that we talked to in the locker room last night was Dontrell Hilliard, who does not come necessarily to mind, I would think for most of you, the obvious passing down situation running back. Dontrell Hilliard, the journeyman who did well to earn a contract here coming off the couch last season to give them a little bit of juice. And in talking to Dontrell Hilliard last night, he was asked, hey, among other things, well, first let's start with Hilliard's comments about Todd Downing, and then you'll hear his response. Obviously, this was pre-DUI arrest. Not that it affects the performance, that part of it. It may affect things down the line, but it does not affect the performance that they put on collectively as a coaching staff and as a roster yesterday. Here is Dontrell Hilliard on Todd Downing as the offensive coordinator and on what message a performance like that sends to the rest of the league.
He's dialing it up, man. Like, his job is not easy for him, and, like, it's a lot of pressure on him at the end of the day, and, like, he's doing an amazing job at it. Like, a lot of people look out from outside in, and at the end of the day, from inside in, we love the guy doing the job, and that's the only thing you ask from him.
And then getting 27 points in a game like this, on the road, a tough one, prime time. Yeah. What do you think this says to the rest of the NFL?
Come get it. Come get it.
Y'all need to have to check out social media.
We up.
Come get it. Come get it. Come get it. We're here. That's pretty strong words. Those are things that are easy to say after a game. But they have done nothing but give themselves the opportunity to kind of earn a little bit of that machismo. They've got a swagger about them right now that the defense kind of set the foundation for, but the offense is really going to be responsible, as we all know, for literally carrying them, in the case of Derrick Henry, over the finish line. But I've heard comments like that before, where self-belief, it's easy to look at the external or look from the external and make comments on the internal without a full grasp of the situation, things like that. But never quite that strongly and quite that definitively. Yeah, come get it. We're right here. We're right here for everybody to see. And for them to deliver on that yesterday, to do so against the Broncos in a little bit more of a clunky fashion, but still, they are very much putting the NFL on notice as to what it is that they can do. The Titans offensively were so impressive yesterday, and maybe it's because, you guys know how I feel about the offense. Lucas regularly has to pull myself. We can't do another weekly positivity segment, Robert. We've exhausted our allotment probably for the month. But you guys know how I feel about watching this offense on a regular basis. I understand what it is that they do. I understand how it is that they do it. Well, actually, oftentimes I don't understand how it is that they do it. But I understand that it is largely a winning formula far more often than not, to their credit, and they are always prepared, which is more than half the battle. But now, when I look at the way that they played last night, and I'm reminded of, okay, this is what the offense is supposed to look like. Not what it's been, not what it's had to be out of necessity because of attrition and certain circumstances, penalties that were not a factor last night in a meaningful way for the offense that allowed them to operate cleanly and to put it on a team that I don't know that people would argue that the Packers are better than the Titans. You have a head-to-head result now, and the results in hand make the argument much easier, but you could make the argument that game kind of a push, right? Those teams coming into that largely similar, very much focused on their ground game, not necessarily delivering as far as what their offense should be able to do or maybe could do. 18.4 points per game coming into last night for the Titans, 18.5 for the Packers. By the way, Titans held them under it. And for this team, the defense will always give you a chance as we start to have legitimate postseason conversations. But the offense is the thing that's going to key all of this, and can that be sustained? We've seen them do it in full season sample sizes, 19 and 20, were as real as anything this franchise has ever done. More real, because it was in 2020 the best offense that they've had in the history of the franchise by the metrics. I'm not saying that this group is going to be that, but when I talked to Kevin Byard last night, and Robert, if you could pull that up on my timeline from our locker room conversation, the way that KB kind of, actually, let's do that coming up next, because I want to focus in more on the defense anyway. We have not talked near enough about the defense, and Mike Vrabel mentioned something about Danico Autry that if you didn't catch it, we'll reiterate for you a little bit of positive news about their stud defensive lineman. So you'll hear from Kevin Byard and a variety of others coming up next. Buddy Allen Carpet One. They are the most reliable, the most dependable, and always go above and beyond as a full-service flooring operation to make you feel confident and comfortable with your next home renovation plan. Buddy Allen Carpet One has been doing so in Middle Tennessee for over 55 years. It's a name that people trust, and that reputation is earned because they are not going to ship you off to a random flooring contractor to get the job done that you are seeking. They are going to be your one point of contact from your first conversation through post-installation to make sure that you are 100% happy with the work that is done in your home. For more information or to check out their inventory, you can visit them 2405 Lebanon Pike in Donaldson or online at BuddyAllenCarpet1.com.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to springhillac.com.
We most certainly are. Welcome back, live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, for just about an hour more. Then I'll head over to the airport, get back home, and get ready to enjoy a little bit of a mini bye. Your phone calls are welcome. 615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation. I want to play some audio from Kevin Byard in the locker room here in just a second, but first let's get to the phones because you guys haven't had the opportunity to react in a while. Robert, is my call screen accurate?
Let's find out.
Oh, God. How about Seth in Alabama? Hey, Seth. Seth, you've been on hold for an hour and a half, and you're gonna miss your opportunity. Seth,
come on, Seth.
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me, Buck?
Yeah. Hey, bud.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. Now that our defense is playing lights out and our offense is showing up, and we beat Aaron and his cheese turds, next week if we beat Babyface Burrow and his bungles, is it too early to call Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year? I'll hang up and listen to you.
Well, I thank you for the call. Who asked me this question last night? Maybe it wasn't last night. Maybe it was recently before I guess I went to Green Bay. No, me and Lehman were talking about this off the air when he was in here yesterday. Sorry, couldn't think of when. I can't put my days together at this point. Too much football in too short of a time span. So, Mike Vrabel is Coach of the Year. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves and talk about if they beat the Bengals then. Because here are 3 reasons why Mike Vrabel won't win back-to-back Coach of the Year. Not because he doesn't deserve it. Mike is as impressive as anybody doing that job in the league right now. And he is the reigning NFL Coach of the Year and arguably doing a more impressive job this year. Now, they haven't clinched the number 1 overall seed again and all these different things and no Derrick Henry absence and this, that, and the other. But here, I got 3 reasons, or more importantly, 3 names why he's not going to win Coach of the Year. And 2 of them are in New York. Brian Daboll making the Giants a legitimate offense with Daniel Jones and all the limitations that all of us know to be clear and obvious. Brian Daboll is a first-year head coach, going to get a lot of love. Nick Sirianni, whose Eagles just suffered their first loss of the season not 4 days ago to the Washington Commanders. They are continuing to load up. We didn't even have a chance to talk about the fact that they added Ndamukong Suh yesterday because they've heard all the conversations around their rushing defense. And so now they said, okay, Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, find me a list of all of the 300-pounders left on the free agency market and let me add them to their defense to just get into the way. Nick Sirianni, as the coach of the Eagles, is also going to get a tremendous amount of love. Howie Roseman probably going to win the Executive of the Year. Then there's Robert Saleh with the New York Jets. The idea that I'm talking about the Jets and Giants as relevant in the year of our Lord 2023. Or I guess it's 2022. I looked at my clock and it said 12:23. I got confused. Either way. What are you laughing about?
You. I'm laughing at you. But you're making good points. And I think there are other coaches you could throw in there too, like a Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has done more with less this year than I think just about anybody. But another point I wanted to make on these Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, MVP awards, I think they're a lot more storyline driven than merit driven. And I'll give you an example. Coach K, famous coach at Duke, probably one of the best coaches in basketball history. We can agree on that. When do you think the last time Coach K won ACC Coach of the Year?
Ooh. 2000. God, I can't remember his last title. I'll just say, having no reference on this, I'll just say 2012.
2000.
What?
He had not won ACC Coach of the Year since 2000. So you can't conceivably tell me that he wasn't the best coach in the ACC one of those years that he didn't win. But that's not the case. Of course he was. He wasn't. His story wasn't as good as, or the story opposing him wasn't as good as his merit. So when coaches do something like this and you're like, oh, he should definitely be Coach of the Year. Well, it's not merit-based.
It theoretically is, but that's not how it's actually voted upon, I think is what you mean to say. So
you can say things a lot prettier than I can. I leave the pretty sayings to you, and I just put ideas out there.
Well, that's all that means is that you're the actual brains behind the operation, and I'm just the pretty voice on the other side.
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've come to that realization over the course of time. I may be a D-bag and super pretentious and all these different things, but I'm a self-aware one, which I think is an invaluable trait. You got to know where your limitations are. And the sooner that best advice ever given to me in my life in college, the sooner that you admit you're a D-bag, the easier life becomes. And I have lived by those words my entire life. So, to the idea of Coach of the Year and Mike Vrabel, yeah, it's honestly a pretty crowded field because the narrative, to speak to Robert's point about narrative-driven or storyline-driven versus merit-based, the storylines have been flooded, right? Pete Carroll winning at a higher clip without Russell Wilson and Geno Smith. Winning with more than less is the way that Robert put it about Pete Carroll. I would say that argument is probably more in the favor of Mike Vrabel because Seattle has not had as many consequential injuries. And everybody has had injuries that are of consequence, but you understand my saying. The Titans are literally on track again for the second consecutive year to set an NFL record in terms of bodies who put on that uniform in a season. The two New York coaches, as I mentioned, they're going to get a lot of love. They're going to get a lot of attention. And to their credit, they have done good jobs. And then, of course, Philadelphia lasting as long as they did as the last undefeated. To see how they finish out this regular season is going to be a question, but it will not be for a lack of coaching competency because Sirianni appears to be really, really good at what he does. So with all that being said, unlikely. But, it doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve to be in the conversation and may still be the best coach of any of those names. Like, are you taking Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll? Carroll are honestly pretty interesting parallels to look at, both from a philosophical standpoint.
Both like to have things in their mouth at game time. Pete Carroll's a gum guy. Mike Vrabel is a snuff or chew guy, I would imagine.
I had no idea where you were going with that.
It had to be tame. You didn't think I was going to get fired on a Friday before my day off, do you?
People get fired on a Friday all the time. There's a whole movie made out of it. Yeah. So Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel are very interesting parallels to kind of compare and contrast with, one being a little bit of a younger model in that sense. But still, you would probably take Mike Vrabel in a neutral setting over any of those other three. Or four, I guess. So don't get caught up in post or regular season awards as it relates to that. Just know that you have a really, really good one and that he is going to put you in a position to succeed more often than not, far more often than not. And that's one of the most difficult things to find in the NFL. Shout out the Raiders. So speaking about that and how this team responds to Mike Vrabel, before we go back to your phone call, 615-737-1045, I talked to Kevin Byard in the locker room last night, and I would like you to hear a portion of that conversation about how special Kevin Byard thinks this particular Titans team is.
Obviously, an important win for you guys, a big win. How much do you enjoy playing spoiler in a road environment like this?
I wouldn't really classify it as that. I feel like, throughout this entire week, the preparation that we put in, we knew coming to this game it was going to be a tough matchup, but we was confident that we was going to come out here and get the W. These type of games, cold weather games, obviously, kind of got embarrassed last time we was out here on Sunday Night Football, but we feel like we're the most physical team in this league, and we knew they was going to come in and try to run the ball. We was great against the run. Our offense played really well, probably had that best showing of the year. Ryan Tannehill was dicing them up. Robert Woods had a really great game, so we was very confident going to this game, and we just understood if we could stop the run and prevent some big plays, which we gave up a couple, we was going to be good to go. So defense made some great stops and critical downs, and so did the offense. They made big plays in critical spots as well.
Just the definition of a team win, yeah?
Exactly, and the way it's been all year, man. It hasn't been pretty all the time. It's been gritty, but that's the way we like it. At the end of the day, if we can make games gritty, we feel like we're always going to come out on top.
How much juice does that give you guys on the defensive side of the ball when the passing game and the offense in general is clicking the way that it was today?
No, it's a lot of juice. Watching Robert Woods go across the middle, catching those passes, Nick Westbrook, Traylon making plays, Derrick getting hard runs and hard earned yards. It gives you a lot of juice. But like I said, man, it was great to see the offense kind of get it rolling. Hopefully that's something they continue to do, man, because going down the stretch, man, we're going to continue to play great football and great football teams. So, every game up until this point, but it's going to be another big game. So, like you said, man, as the preparation and this team, man, honestly, I feel like this team is special. Because like I said, man, the wins aren't always pretty, but just the family environment, we just always come closer and closer together. So just excited, man. This team is a special team.
You talk about the preparation necessary on a short week. I mean, you guys have had a tremendous amount of success with that. What kind of buy-in does it take to get guys ready to go to, Monday is basically a Wednesday and a Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, it starts early in the week. Obviously, it starts with Mike Vrabel just setting the tone, kind of discussing and talking to the team about, this is going to be a physical recovery. It's going to be about physical recovery, but mental performance as well. So we didn't have a lot of practice as far as speed reps, but the preparation was on point. Meeting rooms, guys were answering questions, guys watching a ton of film away from the building. And I think that's where it starts, man. Like I said, man, I think this team is very special. This team wants to win ball games. But like I said, man, as long as we continue to keep going up.
So that's my conversation with Kevin Byard in the locker room last night. And, to his point, no Titans team, even though the formulaic approach for them is always the same or largely the same, right? Run the football, play great defense, play action pass, play a clean game as far as the penalties are concerned, win the turnover battle, outrush the opponent, have a higher quarterback rating than the other guy. That's those last three, those are the Mike Vrabel umbrella keys to each and every week. And while the formula may remain the same, and a lot of the pieces and parts we're still kind of in that generation of Derrick Henry, Kevin Byard, who's another veteran that's been around for a long time at this point, Ben Jones, the kind of core foundational pieces that this run or these runs over the last couple of years that they have been able to put together, that core largely is still in place. And I think that the situation for this particular Titans team is that they were and are largely thought of as less than, a lesser version of themselves. A lesser version of a Titans passing game absent A.J. Brown. A lesser version of what it might be that they could be defensively heading into the season without their top pass rusher, Harold Landry. A lesser version just generally of what it is that the Titans want to do. A lot of people, I couldn't understand this discussion from a lot of my friends who cover the whole league, right? And I'm not interested in doing the whole, national media doesn't know what they're talking about, blah, 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 blah. It's just boring. It's boring to me. But when I heard a conversation between Robert Mays of The Athletic and I believe it was Derrick Clausen, who does NFL analysis for, I believe he's at the New York Times right now, which would make sense because that is a part of The Athletic, or The Athletic is a part of the New York Times conglomerate at this point. And so I heard a conversation that they were having on the podcast about how this was fundamentally a rebuilding year for the Titans. And that their expectation of Tennessee was not to be meaningfully competitive. And in fact, I think Clausen's analysis was if they come out of this season figuring out if they've got a top-notch corner, that's a win for him at the time of the analysis. I sat there listening. And those two are highly intelligent individuals. They know players. They know scheme. They talk to coaches. They talk to front office people. That's what made it so bizarre to me. I'm like, meaningfully competitive? I don't even understand what that means. What are they, if at nothing else at their core, meaningfully competitive in these games? Yeah, the Bills game is a nightmare, a thing that will haunt you until the end of time. So is the Packers game in 2020 in the snow. There's examples here and there of them just, they didn't have it on a particular day. But in 9 times out of 10, meaningfully competitive is the baseline. They make things unpleasant for other teams to play them. And that at their ethos, while that is the same, this team seems to have that lack of quantifiable emotion, buy-in, whatever you want to call it, that if you are just looking at the X's and O's and even beyond the X's and O's, like something like the Packers defense. The Packers defense is entirely too talented to be as piss poor against the run as they are. And yet they are. What sense do you make of that? I couldn't tell you. The analysis on that is difficult. But I look at the Titans and say at the same time, well, I know them to be a talent, not talentless, but a talent less than team. And yet they continuously rise to the occasion of whatever is presented to them in ways that this team seems to be particularly adept at doing. 615-737-1045. You're going to hear more conversations that I had in the locker room last night with some of the guys right after we go to Nathan in Nashville up next. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Buck. Thanks for taking my call, man. Couple things. The first thing with this Todd Downing thing, I'm hoping that, like how you handled the A.J. Brown thing after so long, I'm going to hear Buck say, you know what, we're not talking about Todd Downing anymore. Like, don't call in with that no more. Don't even bring that up because we got to move past it. I just hope this ain't one of them situations where we're going to be beating a dead horse because we can't find anything else in the sports to talk about. We know what the man did. We should all really just be thinking, like, I hope this guy turns his life around and don't make this mistake again. So, and the only other thing I wanted to say is while you're down there in Wisconsin, I was hoping you could give me some of that Wisconsin goat cheese to bring back. I don't know if you've tried their cheese down there since they're known for being cheeseheads. So, well, your show, man, have a blessed day.
Thank you very much for the call, Nathan.
Hey, let me tell you something. If you
What?
bring cheese back for anybody, it better be for me.
You think you've earned it?
I think I've earned a little bit of cheese. Come on.
Well, you are the definition of cheese, my friend, if ever I've seen it.
I'm
See,
serious.
that was a good joke.
It was okay. I wouldn't say a good joke. You're not like Sam Kinison or anything, but you do
Who?
all right. Who
the hell is
Sam
I don't know who that is.
Kinison? He hollers all the time. He's kind of like, I mean, honestly, a little bit like me, you know.
Okay.
Go
well,
check
let's
out 90s comedians. Do you know who Andrew Dice Clay is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only from Entourage.
I hate you so much. How are we so close to that same age and so vastly different?
How old are you?
I'm 29.
When's your birthday?
August 4th.
Oh, so you're not even a month younger than I am.
What's your social?
No.
We just asking questions like that now? You just get to I'm a Leo. What are you, you know?
I'm a Cancer.
That's obvious by your presence on the show. That was a good joke.
Damn it. That happened to me one time. So in college I lived with 3 other guys, all 3 years that we lived outside of the dorms, and one of my buddies was on I can't remember if it was a FaceTime or Skype at the time, whatever, which I really want to date myself. On a video call with his girlfriend who I had not met, but apparently they had discussed me at some point. As I came into the room and she was on a video call and I introduced myself and she goes, they say you're a Cancer. And I didn't know how to respond other than to make, like a funny, for those of you watching on Zone TV, just kind of arch my eyebrow a little bit and say, you know what? They're right. 615-737-1045. Last call for phone calls. I got a flight to catch at the Appleton Airport, so we're going to have to make this one tight with the polls coming up next. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is the company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. They've been doing this for Middle Tennesseans for over 20 years, and they pride themselves on their exceptional customer service, of which I can speak to. I am a member of the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Comfort Club, which means they come a couple of times a year. They make sure that my heat is working before I officially have to turn it on. You get rid of that smell that some of us have when you turn your heat on for the first time, smells like your house is burning down, they're going to help you avoid that. They change your filters. They make sure that your AC is functioning at a high level before the weather starts to warm up. They're also here to tell you that new regulations are coming that could increase the price of replacing your older HVAC system by over 20%. That's why you can act now and replace it with Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 18 months with no payments or up to $1,500 off your new HVAC system. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is always backed by a 10-year parts and labor warranty on York products and is also a York Certified Comfort Expert company. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of them, each and every one of your HVAC needs. To find out more information, go to springhillac.com.
4th down and 1. Rodgers gets his team on the ball. Going to give it inside to Jones. I don't know. I don't think so. I do not believe Aaron Jones just picked up the first down.
Yo, this is so close.
It is not close.
Yeah.
First down, Titans at the 44.
Mike Keith, Coach Dave McGinnis, Titans Radio on the call of the Titans' 27-17 win over the Packers last night. How nice to hear a highlight in the final segment of the show. Bravo, Robert Walsh.
Shut up.
That's right. It's fine. You're off the hook. I had a bunch of DUI talk I had to open up the show today with. And frankly, a lot of times we'll get together, Lucas and Robert or one or the other, whomever is responsible for babysitting me on that particular day. Sometimes it's a joint effort. Sometimes it's a co-parenting situation. We have what do they call families that are come from divorced circumstances and then merge together? Isn't there a term for that?
Yeah, that's a blended family. I knew that, and Mickey
family.
Ryan definitely did not tell me that.
Well done, Mickey. We are a blended family around here, and in doing so, typically we like to put a show plan together before the show starts. And as much show planning as we did today was my 3 hours tracking down different law enforcement agencies in the state of Tennessee, and having been at a game last night, and about a text to Robert about 10 minutes before the show. Hey, what are we doing today?
Hey, we figured it out. We got through it.
We did figure it out. Well done by all. And by the way, thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with us each and every week the way that you do. It is truly appreciated, and we really do enjoy the stupidity that you allow us to get away with for 3 hours between the hours of 10 and 1. Speaking of things that are not stupid, as a matter of fact, quite important for you as the holiday season gets ready to approach, the toy field situation that 104.5 The Zone is always a part of. It's coming up Tuesday, December the 6th, presented by Hardee's to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels. So if you're out doing your holiday shopping, remember those in need this holiday season. You can pick up a gift or toy and help 104.5 The Zone build a field of toys on December the 6th. For more information and to find out how you can help the Salvation Army further, visit 1045thezone.com. 615-737-1045. Last call for phone calls if you want them. I assume there's nobody left on the line. I haven't gotten an updated call screener.
Nobody you want to talk to.
Nobody I want to talk to.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
Okay, that's all you had to say. What are you doing? All right, good talk. Speaking of things, we haven't talked at all about college football coming up this weekend. Ohio State, Michigan. Obviously, huge impact on the college football playoff rankings. Titans off this week, so the Tennessee being able to hold serve theoretically in a road game against South Carolina, a night game, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow evening, we'll all be keeping tabs on those games as far as their impact and influence on Tennessee's standing in the college football playoff, currently ranked at number 5. NFL games this weekend that impact the Titans. Anything in the AFC East. Browns at the Bills. Josh Allen kind of he's not playing poorly. Like, I thought he played quite well. He had a disaster interception or disaster turnover against Minnesota that allowed Minnesota to get a win in overtime, a very dramatic one. But the Bills falling out of the top spot in the AFC East and allowing the Dolphins to claim that is a situation that is significant. Obviously, if the Titans were to win their division, that team would then travel to Nashville to host, or rather to play in the wild card round. What the hell happened to the phone lines? They all lit up. People want to talk to us all of a sudden? Okay. We'll get to that here in just a second. Eagles are at the Indianapolis Colts, of course, as you try to keep a handle on things in the AFC South. Colts still under 500 at this point, 4-5-1, but coming off a little bit of an interim resurgent win under Jeff Saturday and Matt Ryan. And the rest of the AFC, Chiefs and Chargers, a game of note. The game I'm probably most interested in, just from an aesthetic standpoint, Cowboys at the Vikings. Before we go to polls, how about Greg who's calling us from, it says NASA. I assume that means Nashville.
You dog. You know it means Nash.
Hello, Greg.
Hey, just to comment on how tough the Titans are. The punter, the kicker, and the quarterback each recorded a tackle.
Yes, they did. Stonehouse is one tackle away from matching Brett Kern's career tackle total, as a matter of fact.
I just wondered if that was a record or something.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. Thank you for the call, Greg. I will say it was like seeing a ghost when I saw Josh Lambo trot out of the tunnel, pounding his chest and wearing the number 6.
Hey, I have never seen somebody more excited to make an extra point than that guy. He was tickled to make those extra points last night.
Well, he missed the one, but it was on Stonehouse because Stonehouse was holding the ball the wrong way.
But, I mean, just the excitement on that guy's face, you would have thought that he kicked like a 65-yarder, like full Tiger Woods, like, yeah!
But
every time he made one.
He was talking trash after he made a tackle. Like Josh Lambo got a little juice. He's out there for blood. You love to see it. Speaking of things you love to see, give me some polls. God, what a totally ridiculous poll.
It's my favorite one. The polls brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers sells below MSRP on all specialty new Fords. What was the most impressive part of the Titans' win at Green Bay? George Woodard says, moving the ball through the air in the cold while showing for the second time in 5 days that they can have a passing game that doesn't depend on a successful rushing attack. I wouldn't say the rush was unsuccessful last night.
No, I thought it was average. 3.1 yards per carry for Derrick Henry, but I mean, hell, he ran for a touchdown, he threw a touchdown, he threw another pass. Like, Derrick was very, very much involved in the game plan. But yes, Ryan Tannehill, out of all those things, Ryan Tannehill impressed me the most with his execution. The interception, not ideal given the circumstance. They were clinging on to that lead. But, I can't blame him for Rasul Douglas. I mean, you can blame him for Rasul Douglas making a play. It was more about the situation in which he threw the interception and just not seeing the defensive back.
Dang, I heard it my whole life. 3.1 wasn't average. How will you spend a weekend with no Titans football? A lot of people saying they're going to watch the Titans highlights, some Friendsgiving, but I am going to be in Baltimore, baby, smoking cigars and doing debaucherous things. How about you, Buck? What are you going to do?
I'm going to be drunk.
There you go. Spend your time wisely. What did Traylon Burks prove to you / the league last night? Corey Curtis says the Titans can make teams pay for single safety if they stack up on Henry. That was a very educated response. I thought everybody was going to be like, that he's good. He's gooder than hell.
It can also be that. Speaking of gooder than hell, he ran last night. He ranks 15th among all qualifying wide receivers in yards per route run, second only behind Chris Olave of this rookie class. It's courtesy of Mike Herndon on Twitter. So, yeah, guy's pretty good.
Can the Titans pass rush survive a potential Danico Autry loss? Brett says, he just quote tweeted something. He didn't really say anything. Thanks for the chime in, Brett. Mahogany, I'd think not, but we've been proven wrong before about this team. Very wise.
It's true. And they still got pressure on Rodgers after Danico Autry went out. Good to hear Mike Vrabel say that he will miss some time, but it is not a season-ending injury, as I told you guys to start the show today. Are those the polls?
Yes, those are the polls.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for just letting it sit out there.
Well, I figure you usually say, are those the polls? And I say, yes. And you say, and that's the show. Thanks for listening with me, pretentious Buck Reising, but usually leave that part out.
I mean, I'm not going to do it any better myself. You're not done with the pretentiousness yet. Blaine and Mickey got me for a couple minutes. Coming up at 1:20, we'll talk more about this game and Todd Downing situation. And, of course, reaction all day long right here on 104.5 The Zone. I will talk to y'all on Monday.